Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our 2022 Eastern Tennis Conference. Tonight we have a very special session with one of Eastern's own, Samir Banerjee. Samir from New Jersey, all the way from green ball tournaments to national championships, all the way to Wimbledon champion. So we're gonna have a very exciting conversation. Samir, first of all, how are you? Welcome.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good as well. Excited to talk to you about. We have a lot of players, parents, coaches that want to hear about your journey. Where are you at the moment? Let's start with that.
Yeah, right now I'm back home in New Jersey. I was in Florida for a couple of weeks doing a training block, but now I'm back home before I travel again.
That's great. So we want to talk about a little bit of your past year, 2021, which was amazing. Talk about a little bit about your journey in Eastern and a little bit of collegiate tennis, and then we're going to open it up. We're going to read some of the questions that the audience sent in advance. And for those who are listening, please put any additional questions in the chat, and we'll be asking them to Samir at the end. So Samir, I know it's already 2022, end of January, but I want to go back to last year, right? You had an amazing 2021. You won the Wimbledon Junior Championship, reached the number 2 ITF Junior ranking, and also committed to play college tennis at Stanford. So quite the year for you. And we want to start with Wimbledon, right? Such an iconic event. I think a lot of players dream of playing it. You not only played it, you won it. How was that feeling, playing there and then winning it?
Yeah, no, I think overall it was just such a cool experience. I mean, even if I didn't win it, I think just making the trip out there to London to play in such an iconic event was really amazing. Just being able to kind of see the pros there as well, being at the same venue, being in the locker rooms as well with them. I think it was just such a cool experience. And then winning it, that was a pleasant surprise. I definitely wasn't a favorite going in, but I knew what I brought to the table, and I tried to focus on what I could do, and focus on what I could control. And I think I did that pretty well over the course of the week.
Something interesting. Most of your ITF Junior titles were in clay, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of hard courts in Eastern, but we don't have many grass courts. How would you prepare for that tournament? Did you do anything different?
Yeah, no, I didn't do too many things different. Obviously before Wimbledon, I played the French Open. I was in Europe for a month, training, playing tournaments on red clay. I think it was just, I thought I really put in good work before the French, and I didn't do as well as I hoped there. I lost first round, close match. So after that trip, I was a little burnt out. So I came back home just to kind of rest, relax, play with, hang out with friends. And then, also I did some training at Orange Lawn with one of my coaches, Matt Saba. They have grass courts, they're not, like Wimbledon, but they were good enough. So I did some training there, and then I headed to London for 2 weeks for, the warm-up tournament, and then Wimbledon. So I think, the preparation, it wasn't anything too different, but it definitely helps.
We actually have a clip we want to show everybody. Hope it brings some good memories to you. Yeah, sorry about that. We're gonna try to play it later. It was a very cool clip of Samir's match point. Samir, I think you would have liked it. We're gonna try to play it later, but yeah, I mean, we were talking earlier, and you mentioned something that also was very interesting to me. You mentioned that you were in Wimbledon without your coach. Only your uncle was there with you. So obviously that makes things a lot harder. You had to be more independent. How did you go about that? How did you make sure to book practices, eat properly, warm up, all of that without a coach?
Yeah, no, I mean, throughout my junior career, I haven't really traveled with a coach too much. So it really wasn't too much of a change. And, my uncle, Kanad, I've traveled with him before, and he's pretty good. He played tennis growing up. He understands the game pretty well, and I think over there he was really helpful. He was always making sure I was eating. He would stretch me after matches, and as far as practice sessions goes, I usually just set up some sessions with some US guys that I knew. So, overall, I didn't really have any trouble with that. I think that wasn't too much of adjustment. I think just the courts there were definitely an adjustment. I had to get there early just to get a bunch of practice sessions out there. So, but yeah, overall traveling with my uncle, it was definitely a good experience.
Oh, that's great. And at what point? Well, this is one of the questions that we had. At what point did you start believing you could actually win it? I think it was in second round. You were up, and then you ended up losing the second set and winning 7-6 in the third, right? So you could have been out the second round, and then you won, gave you confidence. At what point did you actually start believing you could win the whole thing?
Yeah, no, I mean second round was tough. Even the first round was tough. I think those first two rounds, I kind of had tricky 3-set matches that, I mean, those are really good to get through because they gave me confidence. And then my third round match, round of 16, I played this Brazilian guy that I lost to the week before. And, I was really focused that match because, I didn't want to lose the same guy 2 weeks in a row and just, go home with a sour taste in my mouth, thinking I could have done a bit more. So I was really focused that match, and I ended up winning that match 6-2, 6-1. So I think that was definitely, and he was ranked like 5 at that time. He was a good player. So I think that gave me a lot of confidence. And then that day, I also played my quarterfinal match, because the first day was rained out. So I played 2 matches that day, and then my quarterfinal one, I won 1-1. So that day I think, and then suddenly I was in the semis. So I think that day just really showed me, like maybe I can do something here.
That's great. Always important to the turning point in a tournament. You have to believe you can win it. And where do you keep your trophy? That's we all want to know.
My
Is there
trophy.
a special place or?
I mean, no, I just keep it in my family room. My parents like keeping it there. It's just there. Yeah.
We had a few requests. If you can maybe show it. Do you have it at hand or?
Yeah, I have it here. It's a little smaller than the one they gave me on court, but it's pretty nice. It says my name and everything, so it's pretty cool.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. I would keep it near me for sure. But you won Wimbledon. Let's go back to your 2021. You won Wimbledon. So you jumped all the way you ended up the year as a second ranked junior, which opened a lot of opportunities for you, right? You got invited by the ATP to be part at the ATP Masters in Italy, where you got to be a hitting partner with a lot of the big guys, right? Medvedev, Novak, Tsitsipas. So I want to hear about that experience. What did you learn from that experience, and what impressed you the most from all the top guys?
Before we do that, I think we actually might have the Wimbledon video up, so I can pull that up real quick.
Okay.
Sounds 40-20. Match point number 4. Game. And he's got it. Samir Banerjee is the Wimbledon boys champion. 7-5, 6-3. Good. Congratulations from you, love. Two guys who know each other well. But we could have seen something special here in Samir Banerjee.
Look, he's as shocked as anyone out here. His face just has it written all over it.
What a moment, no?
Yeah, that was crazy.
It's a great celebration. And did you get a lot of, just going back to that quickly, a lot of messages from Eastern kids, Eastern coaches encouraging you? Would that help?
Yeah, I got a lot of messages. Yeah, basically like all my friends, pretty much anyone I've ever, interacted with, shot me a message, or it was pretty cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, well, everybody here enjoyed it, and hopefully somebody follows your steps soon. And going back to that to Italy, where you got to practice, like I said, with some of the top players in the world. What impressed you the most from those guys?
Yeah, I think it was just so cool, but getting to hit, with Djokovic, Medvedev, Tsitsipas, I hit with Ruud as well. I think it was just awesome to see, how they practice, how they prepare for matches, how they act in the locker room, what they do before matches, getting to actually practice with them and seeing their ball, see why they're at the top of the game. I think that was just an invaluable experience. And the biggest thing is, these guys are in the gym, especially Casper. He was in his gym. He was in the gym like an hour and a half before he was set to be called onto court. And I think, that's a little extreme, but I guess that's what it takes to kind of get there. And it's definitely something I'd like to incorporate into, my game, the off court kind of preparation. I think I could get a bit better at that. But that's definitely something I took away from that experience.
And you got a lot of hitting, right? You were doing a lot of sessions per day.
Yeah, some days I had to hit. I was basically on call, whenever someone needed a hit, I was there. Me and this other guy from Switzerland who also got called to do it. We were both just on call. One day I had 5 hits, and I finished at 9:30 at night. So it was they were definitely, it was definitely taxing, but I think I would have done it regardless. It was really cool.
Yeah, amazing experience. And you mentioned Casper, but what other player impressed you the most? Seeing them up close, preparation, attention to detail, all that.
Yeah, no, I think hitting with Djokovic was just eye-opening. I mean, he's there's a reason he's at the top, and his practices are very, very structured. He asks for the ball he wants, and it's very structured. We were playing some baseline points, and it was pretty tough. Like I hit a good ball cross court, and he just takes 2 steps and just rips a line. For a winner, he came, and it's tough to see. So I think just being able to see that level, see what it takes, see how much he prepares, how focused he is on court, what kind, like he meditates as well. I think just seeing all these things and being so close to it, it's just an awesome experience.
Yeah, no, it's super helpful. So to see those guys up close, like you said, they're at a different level, and there's a reason for that. So, I mean, you've seen top juniors, you've seen top pros. What do you think is the biggest difference between a top 100 junior player, a top 25 junior player, and a top 10 junior player? What is the difference that you see? Is it tennis difference, mental difference, physically, or a little bit of everything?
Yeah, no, I think at a certain point, at least in juniors and also definitely in pros, everyone is good. Everyone, plays well, and it becomes less about the tennis, more about mentally how long you're gonna stay in there and just kind of grind. But yeah, I think the biggest difference is a lot of these top ITF guys, especially Europeans or South Americans, they're not really interested in going to college. They're kind of just using juniors as a platform to go to straight to pros. And I think they're training like pros. They're doing 2 sessions every day, fitness, they bring a different level of intensity. And I think that is, that's kind of what sets them apart. So, that's something I had to get better on. I had to, I went to Germany for a couple training blocks. I went down to Florida, just to train, more intensity and more volume, because that's what these guys are doing. They're just on court all day. So, yeah, that's the biggest thing. And I'd say another one is, top guys, they handle the pressure moments really well in a match, because in tennis the margins are so thin, it can just come down to 1 or 2 points. So I think those top guys, they find a way to win even when they're not playing great.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched upon college, which is a perfect transition, because that's what I want to talk about. Yeah. 1 Wimbledon, 2 in the world, but still decided to play collegiate tennis, right? Why did you make that decision? And 2, who helped you make it?
Yeah, I mean, I was already, like the goal of playing tennis, I was always looking to play tennis and use that to go to a good school. College was always in the picture. My parents especially wanted me to go to college. They never really saw, like if I went straight pro, there was, really no fallback option if I didn't make it. So I was always looking to go to college. Even before Wimbledon, I'd previously committed to Columbia. And so college was really always in the picture. And I had my coach who was advising me, and my parents were a big part of the process. And after Wimbledon, I hadn't taken any visits because of the pandemic and the dead period. So after Wimbledon, I decided to take a visit to Stanford, and I just from the beginning I wanted the best combination of academics and athletics in a school. And I thought after visiting Stanford, I just thought that was the place for me. I love playing outdoor tennis. I really liked the coach's vision for the program. The head coach there, Paul Goldstein, he was a top 100 player, so he knows what it takes to get there. And that's someone I'd really like to be my coach. So obviously nothing against Columbia. Columbia was amazing. It's a really good team. I love the coaches, but I had to make a decision, and I was happy with choosing Stanford.
Yeah, it's an amazing school, and you do need to be need to make sure that it's a good fit for you in your mind for it to work. But regardless, Columbia, Stanford, those are pretty competitive schools academically. And you also played a competitive ITF junior schedule. One of the questions that we get the most is, how did you manage to play at that high level, train, but also keep your grades up?
Yeah, no, I had to, starting sophomore year, I had to start doing online school, just because that's the year I started ITFs. And it was a tough decision because coming off freshman year, I had a pretty good year in regular school, playing USTA. I won Easter Bowl. I made the finals with Clay, so I was doing pretty well. And I could have probably just stayed in regular school, just played USTA, and probably make it to a good college. But I kind of wanted to. I knew that there was a next level, the ITF level, and I really wanted to push myself, see how far I could take this. So I made my family made the decision to kind of go online and just start traveling, playing ITFs. And it was an adjustment because it was tough at first, doing online school, not really having in-person classes. It's tougher to learn sometimes. It's tough you don't always have motivation, but it's one of those things you have to do. And I think online school was just a lot more flexible. It just allows you to, there's not that many hard deadlines. You have to, and if there is, you can just always email your teacher for an extension. I think, I always set apart time, usually at night at tournaments, to kind of just knock out some assignments. So it is tough to balance sometimes, especially when you're playing a lot of tennis. But I tried to find a way.
And so, how old were you when you went homeschool?
I was 16. I started at 16. A lot of others started earlier. I already knew, a lot of my friends were already playing ITFs, so I kind of wanted to start. So yeah.
And so for the kids that are listening, how would when you went to online school, how many hours did you practice a day? What was the day for you? How many hours tennis? How many hours fitness? How many hours homework?
Yeah, when I started, I wouldn't say I had like a set, schedule. I was kind of moving around a bit. I would be in New Jersey mostly, and I was definitely playing a lot more tennis. At first it was tough to adjust because I wasn't used to playing that much tennis. It started feeling a little bit like a job, and it didn't really like help grow my enjoyment for it. But slowly I began to kind of realize set apart time for tennis, time for school, time to socialize. I think it was really important to do that. And I usually did a session in the morning and a session in the afternoon. Before COVID, I used to go to USTA Flushing to train, and they had a really structured program there that really helped me out. Certain time for tennis, certain time for fitness. I think I got everything out of that place that I would have wanted. So that definitely helped with my scheduling and everything. But yeah, and as far as academics, I found time in between or after training to do it.
Yeah, no, that's I think very helpful for the kids and parents that are listening to know, because it was one of the questions that we get the most. And a shout out to Coach Jay right there in Training Center East, what used to be. But going back a little to your collegiate future, are you planning to go pro after? Are you planning to take some falls off, play a pro tournament during the summer? What is your plan at the moment?
Yeah, right now I'm planning to play futures before I get there. Kind of see how it is, see how I'm doing, see what, if I really want this, and then obviously, I'm going to Stanford this fall, so it'll be good to get there and play some college tennis. But yeah, obviously I really want to give the tour a shot. I think it's something I've always wanted to do, and I think with this platform at Stanford, I can definitely do that. I don't know if I'm going to be taking falls off, or I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but I'll definitely try to play as many pro events as I can.
No, I think you should. I mean, obviously you have the level and we wish you the best. But you mentioned something we were talking earlier. You mentioned that you love team events, right? And in Eastern, we are always trying to create more team events. You played a lot of those. Which was your favorite team event at Eastern, and why do you love them so much?
Yeah, I loved. I played 12 zonals, 14s. Yeah, I played some intersectionals. I thought those were really great experiences. Just because tennis is such an individual sport, you don't really get to be on the same team as a lot of people. It's usually just yourself. So those events were always really fun for me, and it helped me make a lot of friends in the East. And yeah, those events were great, especially intersectionals in Louisiana. Um, we went with Coach Marvin Den. He was a great coach. He was a funny guy. So it was always great trips.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So definitely for those kids who are listening, take it from Samir. And Samir, also you mentioned also earlier that you are you attended a lot of the opportunities that USTA offers. I actually had the opportunity to take you to travel with you to a couple Team USA camps. You were always participating in those. You were participating in other type of events. You played the Big Apple Cup one year. What made you choose to continue to play the USTA pathway, as opposed to some kids that go a little bit away from that? What made you choose that?
Yeah, no, I think USTA, tournaments and especially the camps, I always thought it was so cool when I got recognized to come to one of these camps. And it's always good to have new coaches look at your game, maybe tell you something that you didn't know. But yeah, I think for me, just playing USTA tournaments was important, because I didn't really want to skip a step. A lot of people start ITFs early now, which is good, just to see that level. But for me, I like to go accordingly. Like, if when I started winning nationals, that's when I kind of wanted to go to ITS. But before that, I was kind of just trying to work my way up in USTA, going from like super sixes, national super six, I don't think they're called super sixes anymore. They're called L3s or L4s, but those tournaments, and then, working my way up, L2s, and then finally, super nationals. So I think I wanted to kind of just work my way up, and then when I finally had a really good year of nationals in 2019, that's kind of when I wanted to jump to ITF. But I think playing the USTA pathway is great. You get to play a lot of there's a lot of good players, especially in Eastern. My year, they're really good players. A lot of top recruits. So for me, competition, there was always good competition in the East, in the nation, wherever I went. So it was really helpful.
Yeah, and at what point did you feel grew, you matured a little more, being more professional, more disciplined? At what point in your career, and why did you make that change? Is there any advice somebody gave you, or was it just age?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think a little late for me. Before last year, I hadn't really, my off court fitness and condition, not conditioning, but like stretching, stuff like that. Those stuff that I just really didn't want to do, and sometimes didn't do. And I have to get better at that, because that's
a lot of kids need to.
Yeah, that's what keeps you on court longer. So and I had last year, for the first time, I had a couple of injuries, so that kind of put in my head, I need to start stretching. I need to start doing everything I can off court in order to perform at my best. But I definitely think going to Germany, to this place called Tennis University, it's run by this guy who used to play professional tennis, Alexander Waski. I think he really likes, he thrives, strives on professionalism, and I definitely wasn't, the most professional. So he kind of like put me in shape, and made me kind of changed like my way of training. And from then on, I was trying to do the things right off court. I was trying to be fully prepared before practice, stretch, do my, eat right, all these things that kind of go into trying to play at your best.
Yeah, no, and I know everybody's different, but the earlier
Yeah,
the earlier
Yeah.
kids mature and be more professional, the better for their game, for sure.
Okay.
So now we have some questions, Samir, that before we open it up to questions in the chat, we had some questions that came before, so I want to ask you those. Okay, so the first one is, what advice would you give to juniors that are aspiring to compete in Grand Slams, and also to get a scholarship in a top academic school like you?
Yeah, I think just keep working. I mean, it's not going to be always fun. It's loss is hurt, because you're the only one out there, but that's just what makes winning feel even better. And I think at least for me, what helped for me was I tried to get as much information, advice from different coaches while I was coming through the system, just to get different opinions. I didn't really keep it to just one coach. Obviously I had kind of I loved getting opinions on my game, just any way to improve. So I'd say just absorb as much knowledge as you can, before so you can build good habits. And yeah, that's
No, that's a good. I think that's a good answer. Get different perspectives. And we have another question. At what age did you start practicing every day tennis?
I still don't play like every day.
You don't?
Not when I'm home, no. I like to take days off. I don't like playing every day. Even last year, like I'll go into training blocks where I have to play every day, just get conditioned, do something. But when I'm home in New Jersey, I like to take some days off, just maybe do some fitness conditioning. But I don't usually play every day.
That's interesting. Yeah, no, I mean rest periods are important as long as they're planned, right? And not
Yeah.
you didn't feel like it.
Yeah, no, I'm not just taking like random days off. I have like when I have to train, I train. But I like taking like a day or like a day here off.
Yeah, and we have another question along those lines. What do you do? What did you do growing up for fitness? How many hours a week, or what part did you focus on? Conditioning, strength? What did you do for that?
Yeah, fitness. Early on, I wasn't doing too much fitness. I started doing a lot of fitness when I was probably 12, 13. I started at center court, and they had fitness built into the program. So I did a lot of fitness there. It hasn't always been consistent for me, but these last 2 years I've really been trying to work on that, especially conditioning, because these, especially in ITFs, these guys are just some of them are just willing to stay out there for hours just grinding. And that's something I don't always like to play long matches, long points, but sometimes that's what you have to do. So I think conditioning is really important. Footwork, agility, conditioning, that's kind of what I've tried to focus on, just being quick and fast, because it helps on court a lot. Court coverage is probably one of the biggest things I rely on in my game. So yeah.
Absolutely, fitness is so important. We have another one. What are your goals for 2022, and what do you want to accomplish?
Yeah, this year I'm just playing pro tournaments. I want to get a ranking first, and then hopefully move up. See how well I can do before I go to college. There's really it's not too much pressure. I don't really have much to prove. I'm kind of playing these pros and seeing how it goes. But hopefully I do want to do well, and I'll just be playing those, and then I'll probably do Kalamazoo in the summer, and then go to college.
Okay, and we're getting a couple more, so I'm just gonna read them. What would you say your tennis? What are your tennis strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah, my strength, I'd definitely say, my court coverage, my backhand is probably my best shot. My hands, my touch, I like to, hit drop shots, volleys. I like that's probably my strength. And then my weaknesses, I've tried. My forehand was a liability before. I've worked on it a lot this past year, and I think I've got it better. But it was a weakness for me. My serve was actually pretty good, but I was always trying to make it bigger. But that's better. And I'd say sometimes I bail out of points. I want to, I guess mentally, yeah. That's something I've been working on, just trying to stay in those points longer. Not going for dumb shots. Shot selection is important. So that's kind of what I've been practicing. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We have a couple more. Did you miss playing for Rich High School?
Yeah, no, that was really fun. I played my freshman year. It was
Oh,
it
you
was
did?
awesome. I loved being part of the team. Yeah, I liked the coach a lot, Mr. Griffiths. He was really cool. And I liked the team. It was cool. I liked being part of the team, playing other towns, playing the state tournament. It was fun. If I was still in Ridge, I would have definitely tried to play another year.
That's a good answer. High school tennis in Eastern is in the whole U.S., but in Eastern in particular, I think it's amazing. So for those kids who have a chance, definitely you should play it. And one that I'm also curious to hear, what was your favorite Eastern tournament? No pressure.
Tournament. Oh God. I really liked, again, like the team tournaments, intersectionals, zonals. Other than that, Eastern tournaments, Super Sixes, or like L3s, L4s, those were pretty individual. So it was a little more serious. I mean, Empire Cup was always fun, doubles. It was a little more chill. But yeah, those team tournaments, those were probably my favorite.
And you are pretty good doubles players. Do you feel like playing doubles tournament growing up help you, or?
Yeah, no, they definitely helped with my volleys, just complete, because I think especially in college, you still have to play doubles, and developing as a doubles player can never hurt your singles. It actually can definitely help. It helps you with confidence at the net if you don't want to come to net. It definitely helped me, build volleys. And I always found that doubles was more fun than singles, because there's another guy with you and it's kind of a team thing. But yeah, I always enjoyed playing doubles.
Oh. No, that's. I think doubles is super important for the players to develop, right? Like you said, volleys, movement, return. So yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna read a few more, Samir, before we let you go. Did you play 10 and under tournaments, green ball, growing up?
Yeah, I did play a lot of green ball, actually. I played, I started when I was 8 or 7 or 8. I played some 12s tournaments with the regular balls. And it was good, but a lot of guys would just lob it over my head or whatever. It was tough. But green dot was better because I it didn't build bad habits. I thought it was better for me, to develop strokes and everything. And I felt like I could actually hit it well. And lobs didn't work great because they have a little less air. But for development, I thought it was really great. And then it helped me work into regular ball and 12s and so forth.
No, I think that's important for partners to hear. A great player like you took advantage of that, and now we have a whole 10 under pathway for kids to, like you said, develop good habits at a young age. So yeah, no, I think that's great for partners and kids to hear, and coaches as well. So a couple more. How do you deal with nerves when playing a match, specifically before your Wimbledon final? How did you focus and got mentally in the zone?
Yeah, no, I mean, before the match, that was I was definitely feeling a bit nervous. Before matches, if I usually try to just kind of go away by myself. Spend time. In Wimbledon, it was actually great because each locker room, it was like a stall, so I could kind of just sit there, put on my headphones, listen to music, whatever I wanted to do. But typically like 15-20 minutes before a match, I just like to be alone and like with my thoughts. I wouldn't say meditating, but definitely getting in the right mental space for the match. And then during a match, if I don't know if this is the best strategy, but whenever I get nervous or tight, I usually speed up. Like I play even faster. And a lot of coaches have told me that it's not good. Like you can just go into a downward spiral, which is true. Sometimes it has happened to me, but other times if I take too long in between a point, when I'm like, if I go to my towel, or if I'm feeling nervous, I usually think about it too much, and then I get even more nervous. So the best thing for me is just to kind of speed up. Actually, a good example is my Wimbledon match point. Before that, I was up 40-15 and I double faulted, and I kind of just went in right into my next serve, and got first serve and won the point. So like whenever and I was really feeling tight there. So whenever I'm feeling pretty nervous, I try to get to the line as quick as possible.
Yeah, and that's a little bit different for everybody, but yeah, definitely have your routine, and your rituals are super important. If that works for you, of course, continue to do it. But yeah, rituals are.
I wouldn't encourage it, but it's just what I do.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But so we have another one. Samir, I'm 13 years old. How often did you play tennis per week at that age?
13 years old, I think I played around like 3-4 times counting weekends. I probably did like 4 times a week, 5 times a week, just after school clinics, and on the weekends, if there wasn't a tournament, I'd always go out to hit at a clinic. But yeah, I wasn't doing anything too crazy back then. I only started training, doing like a lot of like training blocks every day, probably like 2 years ago maybe, or even last year. But at that age, I was just trying to work on stuff, play as many matches as I could, get as much experience.
Yeah, no, that's good for a lot kids that age to hear. Sometimes kids overdo their schedule, get injured earlier, so it's good to be progressing little by little, not rush, right? So last two questions, Amir. A little bit more personal. One, did you play any other sports growing up?
Yeah, I did. I played soccer and baseball. I played baseball up until I was around 11, and then I chose between tennis and soccer at like 12 or 13. I liked soccer a lot, actually, and baseball. Baseball, I didn't like as much. It was a little different, but soccer I love to play. I like tennis a bit more. I was probably a bit better at tennis too, but I just like tennis just because it was all on me. Sometimes in soccer I'd have a great game, but we'd still lose. So, or I would so it was different. I definitely missed being on a team and everything, but I think in the long run, I think I made the right decision.
I would agree with that. What position did you play?
I played left. I was a right back or left back. I switched sides depending where the coach needed me.
Okay, no, soccer. I love soccer too. Soccer is a great sport for especially for tennis. That combination is good. And we're gonna do the last two, Samir. Any hobbies besides tennis and school?
I mean, of course, not much. It takes a lot. I like just I play video games, hang out with friends. I like playing Rocket League. I'm big into that. Other than that, there's not much time. I have a scooter. I like riding that, but now I have my driver's license, so I don't really ride that anymore. But,
you're driving now? Huh?
Yeah, now I'm driving. So yeah, other than that, there's not much time for anything else. But yeah, that's.
All right. Well, Samir, I mean, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I hope it was helpful for all the kids and parents and coaches listening. And before we leave, I want to ask you the last question. What piece of advice would you give to the next generation of kids that are listening?
Yeah, I mean, just keep at it. It's definitely possible. I think there was a stigma, before, from USTA Eastern, you can't really, like, it's tough to really do stuff at the national level or the international level. But I think, from being from Eastern, playing in New Jersey for basically up until I was, 16, 17, and still playing in New Jersey, I think it's definitely possible. There's great players around here, great coaches. It's definitely possible to do. You just have to, find the right people to surround you, and make sure you're enjoying it. And I think obviously work hard, and you should be there.
No, I think that's great advice, Samir. On behalf of all Eastern team, I want to thank you again for taking the time. We wish you the best in this 2022 and your collegiate and pro career. So we'll definitely be following your steps for sure.
All right. Thanks, Gustavo. Thank you.
Take care, Samir. Take care, everyone. Good evening.
All right. Bye.